What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Payne. Welcome back to another Street Fighter Duel video. Alright guys, I'm back from my mental break. Had a great time with my family, and I've gone ahead while I was working, did this massive spreadsheet for you guys. This is probably the most amount of effort I put into anything ever as a content creator. So let's talk about it. This is a huge one, guys. Okay, so this is something that a lot of people have been asking me about. Now, this is located in the exact same Fighting Spirit Assist tier list that is on the main Discord or on that channel, but this is going to be linked to this channel as well in the description. And what we're looking at here, guys, is Fighting Spirits from level 0. So I'm going to change this to 0 to 40, all right? And I know in my last video I explained that I don't want to write out every skill. Well, I should have known better. I wrote out every skill. So what we did, guys, I'm going to explain this. We went by every character based on their color, which is the faction they belong to, and then we talked about the initial activation and how many origin stones it takes. So it takes 20. Then we talked about from level 1 to 10 it takes 200 origin stones, and that's FS plus 10. And then from 10 to 20, which I believe is 260, 280, I think 240 to 260. I put 260 because I did it and I lost count, but I believe it's 260 and that's FS 20. Then 220 to 30 is 300 boost stones, which is FS 30, and then 30 to 40, which is about 800, I think, because the last one is 300 for a fact, I know that, and that's FS 40. And what I've done after that is I've made the ranking for every single character in terms of where they belong on the list. There are 37 characters currently out, so 1 to 37, 1 being the highest, most sought after, plus 30, 37 being the lowest, okay? And what I'm going to do in this video, guys, grab a drink, grab your popcorn, grab whatever you need to eat. This is going to be a long one, but it's going to be the most informative video you're probably going to hear in this game up to this point, from me personally, okay? So let's go through it all and talk about how this works. So when you hit SS, you're going to unlock Fighting Spirits. Now, Fighting Spirits are essentially like unique weapons to, in other games, and they give you specific skill upgrades, and then as you move along, there's additional bonuses and stats, right? So what I've done is I've gone ahead and broken down everything starting from 0. So let's start from the ranking number 1, the top unit that you should be putting, in my opinion, all of your stones up to 31st, and that's going to be Bison. So his skill becomes Demon of Shadowloo. From second use of Return of the King, he goes plus 15 to up to 75% more damage on Infernal King. So Infernal King is when he revives and does that massive AoE. He also does it after a combo if you unlock that. Every time he does it after the second use, it goes 15% more damage, up to 75% more damage, making that AoE blast a lot more often, a lot more damaging, right? Now if you go to FS20, while Infernal King is active, which is active all the time almost, and Bison gains Shadow Attack, which deals additional true soul damage to enemies, okay? And then if you get the FS20, Infernal King will affect allies, which give them all 20% damage, which is what he gets, you know, as part of his Infernal King upgrade. And then lastly, if you get FS30, while Infernal King is active, not only do they get the 20% damage, but they also now get the Shadow Attack bonus, which deals 10% more true soul damage to all enemies that they attack. So not only is he increasing his AoE and his obviously part of his revival and his after his combo 3, he's also giving your units the plus 20% damage, which is a massive increase, and also giving them Shadow Attack, which gives you additional soul damage, which is true damage and can't be avoided by defenses or resists, right? And now if you just, now I'm going to point out here, greens are must-haves, okay? Greens are must-have colors. Yellows are optional. They're not necessary, but it's up to you if you're a simp or if you really like the character. It's up to you to go further, but yellows I'm not recommending. So up to 40 is optional. Now, Master Infernal and Legendary are the only ones that can go to 40. All it does is increase their stats. And I just put the maximum stats you can get with Bison if you increase it, okay? This is where it hits at. Okay, ranking number 2, Gore Magala Ken. Now, if you don't have him, obviously, he's off your list. But essentially what happens is he gets Magala Warrior. Any combo he does has 20% chance to grant 1 Sharpen, and it can stack up to 3 times and cannot be dispelled. Essentially what Sharpen is every time you do a regular attack, he performs a move called Sharpen. Sharpness is what the buff is called, but he does a move called Sharpen, which is a heavy hit to the nearest enemy, causing soul damage of 240% attack, and fills the special combo gauge by 100. And also does Gore Magala Blast, which pulls in the enemy unit to the battlefield for 15 seconds, and he's part of now the attack group. So the tag enemy now can be attacked as well, which means you can take out the 4th enemy before they even get a chance to pull off a move. So extremely powerful, very, very useful for utility, and easy to take out the back target before they even get a chance to do anything, right? For the FS10, Gore Magala Blast inflicts Dragon Curse on all enemies. If you don't know what that is, go back and check out his skill. It's the debuff. very important debuff to know. So if you are using him, you might want to study up on that, or just watch the showcase that I did on him. I fully explain what it is there. When in starting lineup, obtain 1 stack of sharpness, absorbs 1 sharpness, delivers heavy hit. We talked about that, and fills the gauge at 100, and he gets one of those at the start of the battle. Okay, so you get 1 sharpness right from the get-go, so you don't have to worry about getting the extra combo in. And FS30, there's a 30% chance to acquire sharpness. Charge Dragon Slash consumes sharpness automatically to perform follow-up. So that's the combo 3. When he does the trigger combo 3, which is during the combo 2 of whoever else, he'll automatically use it. So there isn't like a wait time for it, which is insane extra damage, by the way, guys. So very, very, very powerful. Way more damage every time he does it. Plus, every time he uses Sharpen, he has a chance to quadruple his damage. So there's that as well too. So this is his 40. You can use it if you want, of course, to get those extra stats. But again, not required. It's up to you. It costs a lot. It's almost up to 800 stones just to get up there. So a lot of people, if you're whaling, you'll be able to do it. And I'm saying whaling hard, but it's not something you'll be able to do often. So pick and choose who you want to take to 40 as your main unit. Number 2. Number 3. Street Poison. That's right. Street Poison. And the reason why. So she gets Aeolus Spring. Essentially, Pierce Shot replace Alarming Arrow. It does 120% attack to all targets, but grants one-time Toxic Love to all allies. Crit damage plus 30%, pressure 15%, attack 50%, stacks times 5. Lasts 6 seconds. Now, a lot of you guys are going to be like, well, why the hell did you put her in S and PvE? Well, there's a reason why, because I found her less useful than a lot of the other units that I was using in PvE purposes, but in bosses and like PvP and stuff, she's a way crazier character. And again, I'm using that because she came up really late in the game, so I could only use her in 36 plus. So there's an argument to have her in S plus rather than S. So I get it, guys, but that's a whole different story. We'll talk about that in the next tier list, and I'm sure I will probably up her. Anyways, Piercing Shot fills super combo by 80. 25% chance to add 1 extra Toxic Love, so an additional stack. And then this is super important. 20 seconds after the battle, this is really good for boss fights specifically. After 20 seconds in the battle, Piercing Shot replaces the normal attacks, and all she does is buff you constantly. So this stack will never drop below the 6 seconds, and you'll get 5 stacks almost instantly. So you'll be doing an obscene amount of damage. So that's why she takes number 3. Okay. Next up is Akuma. Now, the reason why I put Akuma here is there are a couple reasons. Number 1, he's pure DPS. It's all about DPS for him. There's really no extra buffs to you and your teammates. So he's a very selfish character, but he does it so freaking well it doesn't really matter, right? So that's why he's number 4. So he have 1,000 hits when Conquer is active. So that's one of the buffs that he gets. Normal attacks become Ashura Senku, dealing 50% more damage, and fills your your super combo gauge by 50 more points. Now in his FS10, he afflicts burn and weaken. Anyone who's afflicted by burn or weaken, the enemies take an extra 20% damage from both debuffs. So you can go 40 if you have both, right? So 20 and 20. Unleashing Ashura Senku, 40% chance to gain 1 extreme, which is one of the more intense buffs that he has. Now his FS30, become Ashura after using SSGS, which is this one here, Shinshin Goku Satsu. In Ashura form, Akuma uses Shanketsu Hodoken level 3 after enemy performs a combo or super combo. It counts as a trigger. It does 25% more damage. Does not grant Conqueror buff though. Conqueror buff. Sorry, Conqueror. Where's that? I'm gonna change that right now. It's not right. Conqueror buff. I'm gonna put this Conquer, so you guys are aware. All the capitals, by the way, guys, are moves or buffs that you should know about. Ashura expires after 3 seconds, so keep that in mind. Actually, no, sorry. Ashura expires after three Hadokens. After three S Hadokens. So it's either you perform 3 S Hadokens and it expires, or you lose Ashura after 20 seconds. One of the two will happen. The Hadokens themselves cannot be more than 4 seconds apart, so you can't just spam them three back to back. It's got to be 4 seconds apart, so 12 seconds in total. Or if you don't get a chance to do that, Ashura requires in 20 seconds of a trigger interval, and then it'll reactivate once you get it up again. So keep that in mind. So it's one or the other. So ideally you want to perform all 3 Hadoukens, but that's why it places him to number 4, and he can also go to 40. Here's his buffs. Up to you again. You're not going to have enough stones to do everybody, so pick and choose wisely. If he's your main DPS, you may want to consider it. I still think there's better options out there. All right, number 5, Sea Viper, skill Master Spy. When allied fighters perform super combo or combo, Sea Viper has a 40% chance to gain armor energy. Okay. At times 5 armor energy stacks, her damage, so essentially this is what armor energy does, damage effect plus 5% stacks 5 times. So right? So when she has times 5 armor stack, super combo triggers additional smash. So she does 2 already, or 3, I think. This will trigger a 4th smash now, or maybe a 3rd. One of the 2 guys. Sorry, it's a little late here. When you also, for FS20, when you get the armor energy stacks, when you have 5 stacks there, her combo triggers additional strikes, dealing AoE flame damage of 187% to targets in range. And then the last one's the best one. If you have 5 stacks of armor energy, any further stacks you get gets transferred to random teammates, and they get the buff. So that puts her at number 5, because not only is she giving herself an insane amount of damage and extra AoEs and combos and moves, but she's also granting your teammates now the buffs that she offers to herself. So very unselfish, but at the same time extremely powerful damage dealer. Okay, next up is Juri, Black Widow. While Feng Shui Engine is active, replace super combo with Kaizen Dankuraku, which deals 7 times damage to 847% of attack. Each bonus absorbs 1.5 crit and up to 15 maximum. And she also does on her final blow something called Soul Cloud, which she leaves it on the enemy 18% of attack per second for 5 seconds. Fighters affected by the Soul Cloud that within that range have a minus 25% pressure as well to a stat reduction, which means they can't, if she dodges, they do less damage to her, right? When Juri dies, the crit rate is returned, okay? If you go to number 5, it takes 5 active skills to do that, where normally it takes, I believe, 7, and then increases all passive effects of Feng Shui by 20%, so all this goes up by 20%, all the passives at least does, for Feng Shui Engine, sorry, not for this. And then after, so in the FS30 is the most important, like she'll be nowhere near as good unless you get her FS30, and that's kind of her crux here. Activates Feng Shui Engine automatically upon entering battle, lasts through a battle, so it doesn't need to have X amount of skills to activate it, just instantly activates as soon as you get into battle, so it's a must-have for her if you plan to use her, and she becomes one of the top DPS in the game for that reason. And then here's the extra stats for her. Of course, really good stats on her end for damage specifically, so that puts her at number 6. So she's a little more selfish, very similar to Akuma, where she does it all for herself, but she does have a lot of good debuffs as well, right? So keep that in mind. Sorry guys, 1 second. Okay, moving on to number 7. This one was tough. It was either between Juri and him. Now, Fashion Blanka doesn't need this as much as Juri does, because Juri requires this to be like the max DPS, but Fashion Blanka's is pretty important as well too. So skill Raging Wildfire, when allies take flame damage, and this is kind of the problem, it does take a little bit of stipulation, they get 15% chance to receive Wildfire, 3-second trigger. When team deals flame damage, there's 15% chance to get one Wildfire, dealing flame damage essentially, so Wildfire essentially gives a flame damage to the opponent at 310%. It also gives a 5% defense and attack up, and can stack up to 12 times. And there's a 3-second interval. So Wildfire is an incredible buff. When the fighter consumes Wildfire, there's a 40% chance a random ally will receive Wildfire as well. So you'll get those same attack bonuses at FS20, but FS30, 80% of other allies will receive Wildfire, and you guys get the defense and attack bonus from Prairie Wildfire. So Prairie Wildfire is the one that gives you the buffs, the defense and attack, but FS20 only gives you the attack portion. So you have to get FS30 for him to fully maximize the units, for them to also gain the attack and the defense bonus. So very, very powerful. Again, doesn't require to do as much damage as he already does. Juri does, so I put her one step above, but Blanka is for sure number 7, or even arguably number 6. And this is his FS40 if you want to get him up there, okay? Next up, Rose. And the reason why she's so low on the list in terms of like where she is because she doesn't actually need to go to FS30 to really be maximized as a support. So, skill, the Magician. Allies unleash skills. Every time they do, they receive 1 of 4 cards: Wands, Pentacle, Cups, or Swords. You can see all the skills there and what they do. The FS10 increases the potency of the 4 cards by 100%, so double it there, right? So keep that in mind, and that makes it way better even. So that's 20, 20, 40, and 40. And then in her FS20s, when another ally gains 1 of the cards, there's a 50% chance Rose also gets that card. Now, this is where you can stop if you're support, but if you want to go further, and this is optional, that's why I put it as yellow, is if you go as a DPS even, or even if you want her as a support maxed out, after collecting all 4 cards, there's a trigger skill damage that is increased to 367%, that's an explosion, and there's a 40% chance it will cause silence for that enemy for 3 seconds. So a little bit of a DPS upgrade and a CC at silence, but it's not necessary that I found. I have her at 30, but other people have her at 20, and they find she's just as good. But in order to get her buffs, of course, to 40, you have to get her to 30, and this is her buffs. Not recommended. Personally, I wouldn't do that. All right, Trendy Cammy, number 9. Skill Agent Top. Shock duration increased by 9 seconds. Honestly, the simplest one. And why is she at number 9? Because she requires it. Without her FS30, she becomes very useless as a DPS because a lot of her damage increases from her 6 vehicles and from her FS30. If you don't get her FS30 up, she's bottom of the barrel DPS, to be quite honest. So FS10 gives her shock inflicted by fighter increased by 20%, and the shock increases shock duration to 12 seconds. Let's put duration here just to be safe. Duration to 12 seconds. And the FS30 shock inflicted by fighter increases shock damage by 40% instead of 20, and reduces the effect resist by 60%, making shock land a lot more often. So you have to get her to 30 to see that crazy damage, and this is her 40, of course, not required. All right, Chun-Li, number 10. Whirlwind replaces Senretsu Kayaku, strikes multiple targets times 2 for 250% attack, and then kicks the nearest target 5 times for 650 attack. If armor break is applied, each stack will do 4% more damage. So if you have 10 times 10 armor stack from Cammy, you're obviously doing 40% more damage, which is pretty wild. So 5% more damage, so it's an increase on FS10, which is not the biggest deal, but FS20 gets pretty wild. So Whirlwind grants the team 50 speed, plus increases your gauge, your combo gauge by 100% from normal attacks for 15 seconds. That's a long time. Especially in PvP, this like your 50 extra speed is crazy. And then of course, the last one is crit triggered by Whirlwind, increases your combo gauge by 30. Not the craziest thing, it's still good, but you have to perform Whirlwind for this to work. So I find these two to be pretty hand in hand, but this one here, FS20 especially, is pretty critical, but you may as well get FS30 for it to maximize her damage and increase your combo gauge as much as possible. So I left that there as well too, okay? Moving on to number 11, Elena, Guardian of the Wild. Curing Dance replaces Healing Dance. All team heal by 15% of Elena's max HP. Increase 50% when allies' HP drop to 30% of their max HP, so it's 50% more effective. And all allies also receive a dot, which recovers 2% of their HP for 6 seconds. Okay, so Curing Dance will go from 6 seconds to 9 seconds for the dot, and then to 12 seconds with the dot. Now I put a little note here, and it's the only one that has a different color. Okay. Amazing plus 30, but biggest issue is she comes out from the attack spot into the team and get killed by one shot at 60% of the time because she will do Brave Dance. Now Brave Dance will give you guys an attack buff, which is amazing, but the problem is she literally jumps into the team and then as a tag unit, and she can get one tapped and killed. So be very careful when you do this. It could be a double-edged sword for you. It can completely destroy your team 60% of the time, or sometimes it can save your life and make you more DPS. So your call on that, and that's why you see that color there, okay? But she does sit at number 11 as the best healer in the game. Deserves it. All right, B. Zangief, Wolf King. Regular attacks, additional trigger stomp that deals 120% attack with 30% chance to stun for 2 seconds. So an extra stun, an extra damage dealing move, and it's a trigger. So it'll have assists come out who do trigger skills. Stomp trigger also heals him for 60% of HP of his attack, so not bad. That's a little bit of a heal. Now Stomp does an AOE instead of a single target attack, which is great. And then lastly, this is the most important one: removes control effect inflicted on Zangief. So if it's like a stun, hinder, or whatever the case may be, and it triggers the spin to happen with 300% damage, it gains super armor, and happens every 15 seconds. So you can get a stun, an interrupt, etc. every single time there's a control immunity on him. So very, very important. And the fact that he gets super armor, he can't be knocked back anymore too, or controlled by anything. So number 12 definitely belongs to him. All right, going to Cammy. Stinger. So Facility Smash replaces Cannon Strike. Strikes enemies 7 times, dealing 1,104% of attack. Deals damage equal to 5% of target current HP, but no more than 8% of fighter's own attack times armor break stacks. Okay, so there's a little calculation there. For FS10, Facility Smash cannot be interrupted. Pretty straightforward. FS20, bonus damage, you get a 12% damage instead of an 8% based on the armor stack. And then the last one is when enemy has times 10 armor stack, Facility Smash does 20% more damage, period. So she is the boss killer for free to play. That's why she's number 13. In order to really see her damage to go through the roof, you have to get her FS30. So then I highly recommend you do so, okay? So I'm going to do the top 13 for you guys. I won't explain the rest. You can look at it yourself. It's going to be in the description because this video will be insanely long, but I did the top 13 for now. But here's the rest of them, okay? So Abel at 14, Gala 15, Dhalsim at 16, Zangief at 17, Gen at 18, Mad Ryu at 19, E Honda at 20, Fashion Sakura at 21, Makoto at 22, Guy at 23, T-Hawk 24, Yang 25, Yun 26, Blanka 27, Adon 28, Dudley 29, Fei Long 30. And I'll go through some of these lower ones for a second. Mayor Cody 31, Hugo 32, DJ 33, Poison 34, Magala 35, DiCaprio 36, and lastly Charming Dudley 37. Why Charming Dudley is at the bottom is if you read his skill, it really isn't that beneficial for the most part, because he does Charming Rose, essentially, which throws a rose into the battle. It does a debuff on an enemy, and whenever that enemy is healed, you get 20% of that healing until the fighter dies. Okay? When Black Rose is also there, it's transferred to all enemies, so if all enemies get healed, you get 20% of everyone's healing. But again, healing doesn't scale that well at 20%. It's really, really, really freaking low. So Charming Dudley for sure is probably the worst one. DiCaprio, unfortunately, she does only soul damage resist, which not everybody does soul damage, right? So it kind of causes an issue there. She does do a couple other things like reduce dodge by 20%, etc. But again, it's still not enough to justify her being anywhere near the top 30 even. Right? Combat Guile, it's too low of a percentage, 7% of max HP upon successful Dispel. The attack buffs are great, right? But I don't recommend him. Like, you don't even, like, I wouldn't use him, so I put these as yellow, right? But if you do use him, it's your call. I have it here for you, but he is one of the lowest ones, unfortunately, even though he's a pretty good DPS. Just the dispelling aspect, the healing aspect is so low. The best part of it is the increase to attack, but also his C3 has a 20% chance to dispel buff from target, but it's not even the AoE that he uses. It's a single target damage. So I find that useless if you, at a low percent, if you can't even AoE dispel, right? So I put him low there. Poison as well too, just doesn't do enough damage. The silence at 25%, still too low percentage to pay off. DJ, I mean, if you're gonna use him, I put green on his first one because it does increase his defense up to 60% every second, 5% every second, up to 60%. But the rest of them I found, like, you know, not the most important. Hugo as well too. Like, I put having 5 potato marks is good in the beginning. If you use him, he'll heal. It also, when other allies are healed, he'll get one as well too. When enemies are healed, he'll get one as well. So it kind of keeps him surviving a lot longer than he normally would. So it makes him a better tank. But again, like, who uses Hugo that much, really? But if you do, this is what I'm saying. This is my recommendation for you. Okay, Mayor Cody. I mean, having Chains of Fire, just the initial one is enough, because the rest of them just increase the attack power, 320 versus 368 for 10 stones. Not worth it. Or plus 10, not worth it. To inflict 25% chance to burn, not worth it. Each counter strike combo has a 20% chance to stun the dueling target for 2 seconds. To go to 30 for that, not worth it. Fei Long, extremely niche. I put up to this part here. So flame vulnerability increases to 15%, reduces healing by 12%. So good on PvP if you want to do a PvP or bosses that heal. And then additional 30% damage here. But I wouldn't go any further because minus 8% crit resist on target. Like, it's nice to do an additional 8% crit, but it's not to plus 30. I don't know. I have him plus 20 personally. I think he's more than enough. I even think that's too high personally. I think plus 5 for him is perfect as an assist, but if you do like him and you're thinking of investing, stop at 20. Don't go any further than that. All right, and that pretty much is it, guys. So this is it. Go through it, enjoy it, use it. It will be in the description. It is connected to the assist one, which is the plus 5, which goes through all that. All the tier list that I've created are here as well, by the way, so feel free to look at that. This will be in the main Discord linked, as well as linked in the description of this video. So if you guys have any further questions, please let me know. One thing I would like somebody to confirm, if it is 800 stones, boost stones to get to 40, from 30 to 40. If anyone has done it as a whale and you've counted, let me know, please. But outside of that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it's useful. This is Payne. Thank you so much for watching. Again, it's good to be back. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Take care.